on the News Channel 5 network. This is OpenLine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to OpenLine. I'm Ben Hall. This is our first OpenLine of 2018. Thank you for joining us. We want you to call in tonight. Tell us your story. We're talking about how do you pay for caring for an elderly loved one. So say you have a mother or father who is getting older. You are the primary caregiver. How do you pay for that care as they get older and as things get more complicated and certainly more expensive? Happy to have with us Tim Takacs, elder law attorney. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Always good to be back here.
Always good.
And I have the honor of being the first
guest of 2018.
First guest of 2018. Apparently the station was dark last night. I don't know what was going on here, but there was. That's true. Yeah.
There are always
people here,
always doing the news. But no OpenLine last night, so this is first new OpenLine.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
What do you see in this time of year? Kind of what is coming to people's attention that may bring them into your office this time of year?
Well, it's always every year. It's kind of interesting because we try to track this. And you've heard me say before, and those of you who've been watching the show for a long time and have been on, and it's like, okay, what happens in January that's not happening in December? Well, in December, people are showing up. They're visiting mom or dad, or mom and dad is visiting them, or something's going on, and they're having family meetings, and then they realize after the holidays that we need to do something. People don't tend to want to start things in November and December necessarily. And there's nothing that really needed to be started. There's no like major tax laws or no issues that would spur people to get going on this right away in 2017. So now that people are coming back from the holidays, they're thinking, so we're going to start seeing in another week or two people starting to call the office and say, I really need to come in, either get my estate planning done, get my affairs in order, or maybe, as you mentioned, is people walking into the office or calling us and says, well, mom's not doing very well. We just visited and she's had a real major problems over the last 12 months and we need to do something. So that's what we're going to start seeing.
And you'll start seeing that, and the thing is you then help them plan. How do they pay for that?
Right.
That's probably their biggest question,
yes.
right? How do we pay for what I know we need to do?
That's a big question. It's also a question of, well, we know we need to do something, so now what do we need to do? Do we need to do assisted living? How much is that going to cost? Do we need to bring more help at home? Because mom won't like that. But how much does that cost? Because everybody wants to stay at home. And then we talk to them about, well, if you really need to have somebody to stay, mom wants to stay at home. Now you're looking at getting, an agency. Agencies typically run about $20 to $25 an hour. Then they're going to charge 4-hour blocks. So now you start talking about, well, now the cost, if you want to stay 24/7 at home, now it's $10,000 a month. So, yeah, all of those sorts of things come into play.
$10,000 a month. Now
yes.
That would be for what? For someone coming to your house?
We have people that we do have some of our clients who have somebody coming in 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have agencies.
Right.
They have obviously they have shifts that coming in, professional caregivers essentially, and those typically run around $300 to $350 a day.
Wow.
And then of course you do the math, and now you're around $10,000 a month.
Oh my goodness!
Mm-hmm.
And then a nursing home,
right?
The cost there,
and that's maybe $7,000 or $8,000 a month.
Yeah, $8,000. Yeah, about $8,000.
$8,000 a month. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, what do you tell? What then becomes people's big questions? How I guess do I set aside money so that I may have something to pay for this over the years?
Exactly. It's like, okay, what do I need to do now? If I'm reasonably healthy, or maybe I don't need it now, what are some things that I can do now to set myself up better so that I can pay for this in the future? Maybe they're looking at a veterans benefit, where if they set money aside now, transfer it to a trust, because the VA does not have look-backs, like a 5-year Medicaid look-back, which is a Medicaid program limitation. Maybe they don't need care now if you're a veteran or a widow of a veteran. So you start thinking about that. Maybe you start looking at, well, as we often say in our office, is you spend a little bit of money today so you don't have to spend a lot in the future.
Right.
So you can get some help now before you really need it. A lot of people out there thinking, oh, I can't afford to do this. Maybe I can get by. They wind up compromising their health, particularly their spouses, because they're not paying for care, they're not getting care in the house. So that they can have a better quality of life longer, so that they can stay at home longer. All of those issues come into play. It's obviously limited by the resources that you have, because if you can afford $10,000 a month, for 20 years, maybe you don't have a financial problem, but you may have a personal care problem, because you can throw money at a problem but maybe not fix it. So all of that comes into a play. What is basically getting the right care at the right time, for the right price, is really what people are really looking for.
So we encourage people to call in a story they may have, a situation or question they may have. Brian is on the line. Brian, it's always good to hear from you.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So what's on your mind?
At this time of year, everybody likes to take of their situation. Take what's the word for it? Look at their situation.
Kind of reassess or evaluate.
Right. Thank you. You're Nick's friend. I'm a great friend of Nick, but I usually call in the morning, and I can't remember your name. What's your name again?
I'm Ben. Ben Hall, the host.
And I'm Tim.
Ben Hall, Ben the man. And the man with the purple tie. Listen, I'm the youngest of 5 boys, Irish. My mother, she's still alive, like 84. I had a brother die about 10 years ago, and I had another brother just die recently. So I've been inheriting some money, and my mother, she has quite a little bit of money, about 400 grand, and we've always trying to see between. We had her in an assisted living home. We used to call them old folks' homes back in the day, and then now they're in the nursing homes. Now they're assisted living, and now they're called senior communities. But we were concerned, like, we don't know really what to do anymore, because now she's in an apartment, and I have like a will written down on a legal pad. And Nick in the morning had a lawyer and said, that's fine. And my mom, it's pretty much the same thing, except with our signatures, and it's notarized. So is that okay? And
so is it like all to my sons?
All of our money. So what should we do?
Well, Brian, we've talked in the past about what the shortest will. It's like all to ma. Somebody writes down on an envelope or a sheet of paper that says all to ma. And provided that it's all in your, in your mom's own handwriting and signed and dated by her, and if it looks like a will, then it doesn't need to be notarized. It doesn't necessarily even need to be witnessed. It just has to be all in her own handwriting.
And when you say looks like a will, it could still be on a piece of paper, handwritten.
Yeah, when I say looks like a will, it basically means it's basically.
That's what she intended.
It's what we would call a testamentory instrument, which means I want this to happen to my money and property when I'm gone.
Right.
Now, Brian says that his mother's got $400,000. Now, I'm not necessarily convinced that her writing something down, is the best use of her, the best thing that she should do.
Right.
Because she's got obviously she had 5 sons, apparently one's passed away. Are any of her children disabled or incapacitated? Do they have special needs? Or should there be some reason why her children should not inherit something right away? I think about not only asset protection for mom, but also asset protection for her children. Right. And that's not something that she can give them by just leaving a handwritten will that says everything to my children in equal shares.
If she died without a will, it would go to them.
It's going to go to them
in equal shares.
In equal shares.
It would take some time. Would it take any longer, or it's the same
Probably
basic?
Not. No, because most likely that's like the default. You know, whether she has a will or not, that's what's going to happen. But it still gets back down to, is there any particular reason why a child should not receive his inheritance like right now? I mean, children have creditor problems, children are disabled, children are incapacitated, children, all sorts of reasons why, and when Brian's talking about, his mother's in his 80s, which I'm going to assume he's around 60, he may want asset protection. His mother can do an estate plan in which she passes away, and then whatever she leaves him could be set aside in a trust so it's protected for him. And that's not something that a lot of, I think, families think about. It's not necessarily a lot of things that like children may think about, where they can get asset protection, but yet at the same time they can have access to that money.
So let's say Brian's concerned about this. He has 3 other siblings, total of 4.
Right.
And he wants to then come in and see an attorney and get this worked out for his mom.
Right.
But maybe there's another sibling that thinks, why are you thinking about our beloved mother dying, or doesn't want that?
Yes.
And what happens then?
Well, that's one of those things where Brian comes in and says, look, I want to have a conversation about my mother. And it's like, well, where's your mom? Mm-hmm. I mean, can she come in? Because she would be the client, because we're talking about planning her estate. Now, the children have differing interests, and maybe their interests are enough if they diverge, then there's really no planning that would be done unless mom comes in and says, this is what I want to do. So that's basically what has to happen. Now,
he brings mom in about the mom's money. The mom is your client.
She is my client, and Brian sits out in this waiting room and says, well, why don't you wait out there and I'll talk to your mother, and we'll talk about what she wants. Now, maybe all the children come in with mom, and then they all sit out in the waiting room for a while, and then we have a conversation with mom, and then mom says, look, bring my children in here, we're going to be fine, we need to talk about planning as a family. I'm still representing just mom,
right? But
that's what mom wants. She wants the children to have to participate, but my duties of loyalty and everything else of who I'm planning for is the elder.
And there's a lot of talk of family drama, and I'm sure you see a lot of family drama, but you also see a lot of cases where there's no drama, right? Where everyone's on the same page. They just want what's best.
We see mostly the people that are coming in that are really trying to pull together and do it the right way.
Right.
Now, certainly there are people out there that are, they're pulling separately, and things are falling apart. They tend not to walk into our office. Because we would encourage them if they feel like they can get their act together and at least start pulling in the right in the same direction to focus on what do we need to do to take care of mom. How do we make sure that the resources that she has are used for her? How do we make sure that she gets the care that she needs? How do we make sure that the decision making in case she becomes disabled or incapacitated and can't make a decision for herself is appropriate? And can occur without conflict. All of that is important, for us, for our client, and that's what tends to be important for our families that are coming in and realizing that, we do have some differences of opinion here, but when it comes down to what do we need to do, what's best for mom, that's what we want to see.
That's what we want to see.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a break. A good question from Brian about wills. I'm always interested. It's a fascinating topic. If you have a question about that or something else, give us a call. If you're on the line, hold on. There's a number, 615-737-PLUS. 615-737-7587. We'll take a break and be back right after this.